health, injury, and recovery aspects of the sporting industry. Okay, so as a junior in college, studying to become an occupational therapist who works at a gym that is #2 on Forbes' Best Small Companies list, who also played volleyball for 10 years, I think I'm pretty qualified to talk to you about some misconceptions in the health field. And as a mix of student athletes, college kids trying to keep off the freshman 15, I think this information is beneficial to you. So first I'm going to start off with stating the obvious, because we all know that any form of physical activity is actually pretty good for you, physically, mentally, socially. You can make friends by doing group classes, you can improve your body, you can improve your anxiety, and the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is physical misconceptions. While we know that exercise can help you lose weight, a lot of people come into the gym telling me about how they're upset that they come to the gym every day and they haven't lost any weight. 70% of it is actually diet, which is a very common misconception. Mentally, it helps alleviate anxiety. I can attest to that personally. It is very beneficial whether you're doing a sport, whether you're going to the gym, whether you're doing yoga. It's just a very overall, it brings peace to your mindset, I believe. And there are different facets to physical activity. You can do sports, which Dante and Marcus are going to talk to you a little bit more about later. And you can do that collegiately, professionally, whichever, or you can even do it in high school, middle school, regardless, that foundation is good for you. Or you can just go to the gym if you're not coordinated, or you just didn't want to go do collegiate sports or professional sports. Just going to the gym, taking a lap around your block, things like that are good forms of exercise. However, there are ways that you can get injured, and overall, like, the main way to get injured is just not knowing. A lot of people go and try and do physical activity without really knowing what they're doing. They don't have the proper form, they don't have proper technique, they don't have the proper timing, and all of those things can unfortunately result in injury. A very common misconception is that once you get injured in the sports injury, your career is ended. That's not true. Here's what happened in the Rio Olympics. I'm sorry I didn't give you a warning that this was so graphic, but it is. But this is a career-ending injury. He's probably never going to compete again. But most injuries in the sports field aren't always like this. A very common one is an ACL tear. I know I have knee problems. Most people do, especially if you're involved in physical activity. An ACL tear is a very common injury, but it's also a very easy fix. However, there are more severe ones that might require more medical intervention. This is a rotator cuff injury. This is a very common back injury that I get in the gym, and it's a result of improper technique on some of the machines or in some sports. This is all of the different ligaments in the knee. So you can see there's lots of room for error, lots of potential to get torn. A meniscus injury is also really common as well, but that's also an easy fix with surgery, therapy. And this is tennis elbow, which is also very common, but most people I know can fix this just with therapy. Physical therapists, occupational therapists, they work together to fix these kinds of injuries that happen in the sports industry. Physical therapists work more with your overall body movements. I don't know what this guy's doing right here. This is an example of improper form. An occupational therapist will help with, more motor skills. If you hurt yourself so bad that you have like severe nerve damage, occupational therapists will then intervene and help you with more fine-tuned things like moving your fingers. This is rugby. It is an extremely violent sport, and in the sports industry, a lot of injuries happen based on contact, whereas in the gym, it's more on form and technique. In sports, a lot of the time, if it's a contact sport, that is how you get hurt, is just two people colliding. And then, like I said, in the gym, it's very important to use proper technique, because if you don't you can result in very severe injuries. There was a woman who was working out at my gym, and she was using something called an X-Force machine, and she didn't know what she was doing, didn't ask someone for help, ended up tearing her knee. And because of that, she did have to get further medical intervention, more than just, you know, having to walk with a physical therapist or seeing an athletic trainer. If it's not an easy fix, you might have to go in, actually get something replaced, something stitched back together, and then go through 6 months or so of intensive therapy. This is a technique used by athletic trainers for ankle injuries. I know when I sprained my ankle 4 times in a row in high school for playing volleyball, I had to do a lot of this. And also like pointing your toes and like writing letters with them is another way to strengthen it. And it really is beneficial because you can really see improvements from beginning to end. This isn't necessarily a sports injury, but this is a result of therapy. And you can see how much she's improved walking-wise, and that's really great. So I really do think that there's a benefit to those types of therapies. And unfortunately, not everything can be fixed with therapy. It is a really great way to, you know, if you hurt your knee, but it's not like a career-ending injury, as I had said, it's an easy fix with therapy. But now that me, Nani, and Jack have talked to you about the sports industry behind the scenes, we're going to have Dante talk to you about the misconceptions and perceptions as he sees it right on the court. So.